Hey y'all, it's Katie. Welcome back to From My Vanity. Before we jump into today's look, I did want to say if you're curious how I got this look on my eyes, you can check out this video up here. I did a first impressions with Sunflower beauty products. So there's a whole tutorial if you want to see how I got this look, minus the lashes. I just popped on the lashes. These are from Colorlit called Disruptor. Definitely a different style than I typically wear, but it's fun to try something different. Today I'm going to be doing a tag video that Lauren from A Little Blushing Birdie created, and it is called the Makeup Romantics tag. I will leave her video link down below. Please go watch it because she was so entertaining when she was explaining the thought process behind each of the questions. I absolutely loved it, and I know I won't do it justice, so definitely go and watch her video if you want to see a very romantic side of it where she like explains each of the relationships behind the questions. But I thought it was so much fun, and of course I'm going to do a little bit of a spin on it. She just did makeup in general, but there were so many questions whenever she was mentioning them and going through the video that I was just like automatically thinking of eyeshadow palettes, because you guys know how much I love eyeshadow palettes. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to answer all of these questions with eyeshadow palettes. So if that sounds like something you're interested in hearing, let's just get into it. Okay, so question number one is the one you're in a committed relationship with. This is a pretty easy answer for me when it comes to an eyeshadow palette because it's the Gemini palette from Melt Cosmetics. There's just something special about this palette where the tones, like each and every tone in this palette touches me at a personal level. Like it just gets me. I know a lot of people have some complaints with this being such a pretty green palette and then just a neutral palette down here, but I actually do enjoy a lot of the neutrals. While yes, these are just browns and black and then a lot of very toned down colors, they complement the greens very nicely, and I love this shade right here. It is gorgeous as that really orangey but dirty orangey kind of mustardy color. This I feel like is a staple, and this I would tend to use as an inner corner highlight. So even the very neutral side of it, I can create such gorgeous looks that are so me that I love this. And right now in this time in my life, I am so committed to this being like my number one that I can't imagine anything better. So this is the one I'm choosing for being in a committed relationship with. Question number two is the one you're still in the honeymoon phase with. Another one that is super easy for me to answer. It is the Tribe palette by Juvia's Place. I've been wanting this palette ever since it was launched about 2 months ago, and I finally got it, and I have been having so much fun creating looks with it. I don't know when this video is going, so I'll leave linked up here if I've already given my official review of this, but if not, I can definitely link my first impressions where I created my first look using this palette, and it is just so gorgeous. But at the time of filming this, I've only created 2 looks with it, but I have had so much fun. But I feel like this totally qualifies for being a honeymoon phase because I am just so in love with it. Every look that I do, every time I touch any of these shadows, I'm just like, you're so beautiful. This shade, this brown shade, gotta be my favorite brown, but it is so gorgeous, and yes, this is my pick for being in that honeymoon phase. I am having the time of my life. Question number 3 is the one you friend zoned. And the way Lauren explained this was that you were in a relationship, but then you're just better off as friends. And for me, I would have to say the Bad Habit palettes. I still have 3 in my collection currently, the Aphrodite, the Inferno, and the Aura palette. But these I have tried so hard to love, and at this point I'm just like, you know what, let's be friends. They're never going to be a favorite of mine. I'm never going to like be over the moon thrilled about them. Like the color story, yes, but I just find that the quality of the shadows, I have so many other palettes that are so much easier to work with and that I prefer. I find the mattes, while they're very like pigmented and powdery, they're very powdery and they tend to not stick down as well. Like when you actually go to put on your eyes, it takes a good bit of building up and they kind of floof away and it's hard to get them to stick. And then the shimmers just aren't my preference because they kind of make my eyelids look like the Sahara Desert, and I just don't like that. So I had to give it to the Bad Habit palettes because these are ones I tried so hard to love, but you know what? We'll be friends. I still have them in my collection. I use them as comparison and whatnot, but yeah, they are officially friend zoned. Question number 4 was the one that got away, and this is gonna have to be the ABH Prism palette. I mentioned it recently in eyeshadow palettes I thought were beautiful but I didn't buy, and I just kind of missed out on it. I saw that it went on sale and I was like, you need to go get it, because I have, as you just saw, I have the dupe for it and I really enjoy the colors but hated this formula. And it's just one thing led to another. I missed out on it and it's out of stock and I can't find it at my TJ Maxx. I keep looking at my TJ Maxx, and if it ever pops up in there, I'm definitely buying it. But at this point, that is the one that got away, because it's crazy to say this, but if I could get my hands on the Prism palette and have this shade and it be everything that I imagined that an ABH matte shadow would be, it would be beautiful. And yeah, I just feel like every time I think about the Prism palette, I'm kind of like, shoot, I missed out. Question number 5 is the one you're currently crushing on. So she explained this one as the ones you've had feelings for. You haven't officially gone out together, you haven't dated, nothing like that. You're just observing from afar and you're really crushing hard. So for me, that would have to be the Strobe Cosmetics Creepy Cute palette. I mentioned it once again in that beautiful palettes that I never bought. And so many people were like, yes, but girl, you really do need that Creepy Cute palette, or I use it every day. I highly recommend it. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I need to get it. And the next time there's a really good sale at Strobe Cosmetics, I think I am gonna break down and buy it because it's just one I keep looking from afar and thinking, I feel like I would love you. Question number 6 is the one that broke your heart. This would have to be the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill Vault palette, specifically the Armed and Gorgeous palette. Because you guys see this? These are my tones. Because when we're talking about the shades, I love basically every single shade in here. But when we talk about the quality, that is when it just becomes too hit or miss. I feel like it just let me down so much because this is a palette where, yeah, if I go pretty simple and don't try anything crazy, I feel like I can get a nice look. If I keep this to the crease and never try to pack it on or do an all matte look with, I feel like I can be happy with the looks that I get from this, but I want more. Like with such a gorgeous selection, I want to be able to do more things with it. And especially the green, there's just too many hits and misses in here. And the shimmers, once again, are that thicker type of formula that I have to be very careful when applying that to my lid or it can get really built up and look bad on my lid. So there were just too many things about this that it broke my heart. And like I said, it broke my heart mostly because it was a perfect color story for me, but the formula was just, it was just disappointing, especially considering all the hype that it was behind it. And I'm not going to get into the drama, but when someone promises you the best formula of your life and you get something like this, it's a little disappointing. Question number 7 is the one you grew apart from, and this would have to be the Lorac Pro palette. You guys, when I was first getting into makeup, this was the first palette, like actually large palette that I bought. It was my first high-end purchase. I loved this so much for so many years. This was like my one and only. I know this looks like I haven't ever touched it, but this is actually a repurchase. I had hit pan on so many of my shadows from my original palette that I passed it on to my sisters to try and play around with. And I purchased a new one for myself a couple years ago, and now I rarely touch it because, as you can see, I'm not into these tones as much as I used to be. So this is definitely a palette where I feel like it totally qualifies that I've kind of fallen out of love with. I still absolutely love Lorac's formula, but the color stories and for my personal preferences right now just don't coincide because I like color, I like vibrancy, I like fun color combinations, and Lorac as a brand is more a very neutral, kind of, I feel like, work appropriate type of makeup look. So all their palettes are very neutral. Question number 8 is the one you'd have a fling with but never actually date. This one is really easy because it is the Jeffree Star Alien palette. When that first launched, I was just kind of like, whatever. But then I saw Annette's Makeup Corner do so many looks with it, and I actually looked at it, and there are so many greens in that palette. I really want it, and I would totally love to just get it and try a few looks out of it and then, you know, maybe never actually date. I probably never keep it type of thing, but I'd like to just try out those greens, but I don't plan to just because I feel like for me, as I said before, I'm not someone who cancels a brand. I'm not someone who avoids a brand too much with drama. A lot of times I am intimidated to stay away from a brand, but overall I feel like for me personally, I don't actually like cancel them. Like I own products from like Lime Crime, Kat Von D and stuff like that, so those are brands that have definitely been canceled. But Jeffree Star is just one that I don't personally, for personal reasons, I don't plan to make a purchase from, and it's mainly because of the way he treats people. I don't follow him on Twitter just because no, I just see it as very mean and rude and just like nothing I want to support. And maybe there are other brands that I'm supporting right now who their owners are a complete jerk to other people too, but I just don't know it. And I see Jeffree Star, he's just so there in social media. He's always present, and just the way he claps back at people, I just find so wrong. Honestly, I'm just gonna say I just don't feel like that's right. There was something very recently with a YouTuber that I follow, and she shared her side of the story. She shared the screenshots, and I was just like, that was so mean of him to say those things to her. I just don't understand it. So yeah, because of the way he treats people, I just can't buy from his brand because anytime I would look at his products, I'd think of the way he treats people and I'd just be like, no. So yeah, that's a brand that I look at. I would totally love to have a fling with it, but I'd never actually date because yeah. So if I ever actually like met Annette in person, I'd be like, hey, can you bring the Alien palette? Because I just want to like touch it. I just want to touch it. Maybe put it on my eyes, but I just want to touch it. So anyway. Question number 9, the one you're in a love-hate relationship with. And I would have to say that this is the Subculture palette, mainly because while I absolutely love the color story in here, I love the grungy vibes, it is a pretty finicky palette, and anytime I use it, I'm always kind of like, you know, so careful. Like, it's almost like when, you know, someone's in a mood in your house and you're like tiptoeing around them because you don't want to wake the beast or something like that. That's what I feel like when I approach this palette. It's like, let me be super gentle. He's yelling into a cup. It's like, let me be super gentle and just like very gentle, very tiptoe, because I don't want to like, I don't want to upset the palette because then it might turn disastrous very quickly and it'd be very difficult / impossible to fix. And I feel like another reason that this has become more of a love-hate relationship is because I have so many new palettes I've added to my collection with these same kind of grungy tones that I like more, that this one keeps kind of getting dropped lower and lower. It's not so low that I'd ever get rid of it, at least not at this point, but the looks you get in here are gorgeous, so that's where the whole love-hate relationship comes from. Question number 10, the one you gave a second chance to, and this is the last question. Let me double check. Yeah, this is the last question. This question is also really easy for me to answer. I actually featured it in a recent Change My Mind video. I can leave that linked up here, but it is the Menagerie Feral palette, and I am so very excited that I did give it a second chance to it. Now, please go watch that video if you kind of want the in-depth reason as to how and why I've changed my mind, but one of the biggest reasons was because they changed up the layouts. So instead of having 3 shades that kind of all look like this, they exchanged the 2 that were here for these 2 shades, and I feel like that makes this palette so much more interesting. And on top of that, I figured out a way for these not to crease on my eyes. So right there, those 2, once those became a non-issue, I love this palette now, and I'm so excited that I'm able to create looks with it that actually last on my eyes, and the blending on these shadows is amazing. It's so easy and beautiful. I absolutely love it, and I love combining this yellow with these greens down here. So gorgeous, so stunning. I had so much fun creating looks with this eyeshadow palette, and I'm definitely going to be bringing it back at some point this year just to try a couple more looks and just to kind of enjoy it and not having to worry about, you know, the issue of the fading and whatnot, and having more colors to play with. I cannot wait to bring it back into my collection. But yes, this is definitely one that I am so very glad I gave a second chance to because I have fallen in love. Alright, so there you have it. Those are my answers to the Makeup Romances tag. As I said, I'll have Lauren's video down below. Definitely go check hers out. She goes so much more in depth with these questions. I absolutely loved hearing like her thought process behind all of them, and it's so very cute. So definitely go check it out. She published that video, I think on Valentine's Day or like right before or right after. It was around Valentine's Day, so it was so appropriate for the season, and I absolutely loved her video. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed hearing all my answers. I love doing these makeup tags. I have so much fun with it. Let me know how much noise you can hear and if that's too distracting. I have been trying to film more when Olivia's asleep and Gideon's awake, because then I'm able to edit when he goes to sleep and I'm able to put up more videos, if you get my drift. So let me know what you guys think, because I know at the same time maybe some people have a hard time paying attention, but for me, like, this is my life every day, so I can have a whole conversation with them screaming in the background. It doesn't bother me. But if you don't have kids, it might be a bother. So definitely let me know down below, and I totally okay if you don't like having him here. I can try to work something different out if the majority of my followers let me know that they would rather him not be present and making noise in the background. But let me know. As always, I am always all ears to hear what you guys have to say. But with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye, guys.